Look around the US and you will see infrastructure that's falling apart. There's no way to deny it. Certainly some locations are worse than others, but there is no doubt that this problem is quite pervasive in most states, with more and more funding going into taxation on both the federal and the state levels. You would think it was being spent on infrastructure. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to look at the crippled infrastructure in the United States. Let's begin. Thousands of American bridges are falling apart. U.S. states by number of structurally deficient bridges in 2017. You can see that Iowa takes the crown here, but Pennsylvania not far behind. You can see that they have literally 5,000 bridges that are considered to be structurally deficient. And that's not something to mess around with when we're talking about such incredible levels, 5,000 of them. The worst roads in the USA, US states with the highest share of roads in poor condition. Whether we're looking at Connecticut, Rhode Island, California, or others, you can see here that this problem exists in the nation as a whole. That's not a good sign. There's a lot of money that goes into taxation, and some of that is supposed to be used on infrastructure. Surely it does happen, but it is the consistent case that we see where less and less money is going into where it is needed, and more money is being used frivolously. It's being spent, it's being squandered, and this is of course the inefficiency of government as a whole. This is from a website, ARTBA, and you can see the highlights that they have here, basically going over all this information that we're covering here. 54,000 of the nation's 600,000 bridges are considered to be structurally deficient. Americans cross these deficient bridges 174 million times daily. Now think about that for just a moment. You have these bridges which in some cases do fall down. People do end up unfortunately being swallowed whole by these things, and that isn't something to take lightly. Average age of a structurally deficient bridge is 67 years compared to 40 years for non-deficient bridges. 1 in 3 US bridges have identified repair needs. 1 in 3 interstate highway bridges have identified repair needs. We are talking about a system that cannot go on much longer. Now, the solution to this problem, according to the current administration, is basically to engage in massive deficits to be able to pay off this debt that will be incurred. Just let it go onto the backs of the taxpayers, right? There is the potential, of course, that there are other options and we need to consider them. Well, the amount of taxation has continued to increase. We're talking about the trillions and trillions of dollars that is being brought in all the time within the US. Now, with trillions of dollars, you would think that you would have some level of ability to keep up with the infrastructure, but that's apparently not the case. Why? Because oftentimes the United States, and of course every Western country, has a little problem, and they happen to go overseas and they happen to spend a lot of money rebuilding other countries, and they end up giving foreign aid, and they end up dropping bombs, and they end up doing dirty deeds in other countries, and they should not do this. You should not have any business in these other countries, and meanwhile they could be building their own defenses, building their own infrastructure up, and instead they're worried about elsewhere, and that's the biggest mistake. It's a little bit how do you say, politically incorrect, but I have a feeling that many of you will agree with me that you should put your own country first above others. That's just the way I see it. Build up your own infrastructure. Why not? Why would you want to see your own areas crumbling? I'm driving in the streets of Toronto today, and there are potholes everywhere. You're swerving around like you're driving a Formula 1 racetrack because there are so many potholes on the roads. There are all kinds of things that are happening everywhere, and it's like projects are left at half complete every corner of the vicinity. You can't go anywhere where anything is done. Everything looks like they just abandoned it. And yes, I understand that it's that time of year, but these projects are way over budget, they're way overdue, and they are unfortunately showing us no matter how much money goes in, it's never enough. It's never enough. That's a problem that exists in Toronto, and I know it exists in other major cities out there. This is basically the main area where you want to be, and that is the American Road and Transportation Builders Association. You could see these charts that I'm showing you today for yourself, and I'll show you the rest of these. Basically, just quickly go through them. Their next three are all connected. Top 10 most traveled U.S. structurally deficient bridges by state. You'll see this here, the most traveled U.S. structurally deficient bridges 2017 and 2017 structurally deficient bridges. You can go through, maybe if you live in these particular areas, you can see it for yourself and be able to say, hey, that's where I live, or if you're interested in a particular place, you can see it there. I won't get into the details, it's very long, and essentially all I wanted to note was that some places are just riddled with terrible roads, terrible bridges, and no matter how much taxes you put into the system, it is a black hole. All right, now what we're looking at here, federal funds on average provide 51% of annual state DOT capital outlays for highway and bridge projects, okay? And I just want to reiterate one more time. It doesn't matter how much money's coming in. You can put double the amount of taxation that was in last year to this year, okay? Double, literally. And it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a dent. That's not the way government works. Government takes more money. It bloats up bigger and bigger. The problems that exist, all those holes, they don't get patched up. They just get delayed. We have big problems that exist in the future, and you just kick the can down the road. That is the inefficiency of government. That is the failure of government, and I will continue to bring it up. I talked about it in my first book, and I'm still talking about it today. The problems are still here. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it supports the channel. That's all you got to do to support this channel. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Over 85,000 people are here now at the Money GPS, and I definitely appreciate all the support that I get every single day with your comments, with your emails, with everything else. Thank you very much. Last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know that you will find my books, The Money GPS, and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually flip through these books. If you go over to Amazon, there's a look inside feature. It's going to allow you to flip through the pages of these books to see if you like them. Take care.